All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Off the Grid. I wanted to welcome my next guest. He's a dope French producer, a dope sound engineer who now calls Washington State home. Hey, wanted to welcome my brother Owdee. How are you today? Thanks for joining me
Thank
on
you,
a
man.
weekend.
Thanks for having me. Doing pretty good.
Absolutely. We've been trying to get it down for a long time, so really appreciate that we
Yeah.
were able to make it happen, man. Hey, real quick, so before we go into what you're doing, can you just tell us real quick where you were born, where exactly in France you call home, and tell us how long you've been making music?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm born in around Paris. I'm
Mm,
not going to give the name of the little towns because no one's going to know. But so Paris, France. I grew up there. I started making music early. So I started playing piano when I was like 4 or 5.
yeah.
I did that for 5 years, and I was on and off. Then playing guitar, but really doing like producing, mixing. I started doing that when I was 18.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And so it's been, now I'm 34, so it's been a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been doing that in France for as long as I was in France. I moved to the US in 2018.
Okay.
Yep. And since then, I'm based in the US, but still working with mostly French artists, except you, of course.
Yeah, yeah. It's 2018, so you're talking about when I met your wife. That was the
Yeah.
first time that you moved. You moved to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
wow. Oh man. Okay, I had you like raw and uncut. Yeah. And so when you say that you learned piano, were you formally trained, or was that you just playing around because your mom and
No, I
dad
was formally
played?
trained. I was going to the music school from like the age of 5 to I think around 10 or 11. And I was doing pretty good, but when I reached like 10, 11, I was starting to like, play outside a lot, going into soccer.
Yeah.
And music school was very strict, like you have exams like every 6 months to
Oh,
get like it was very like serious. And so
yeah.
I just like was not practicing enough and eventually gave up.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do any music for like around 4 years. I
Okay.
completely gave up on music. And then when I was like, yeah, 14, 15, I started playing guitar, like the basic guy playing guitar.
Yeah.
Um, and and at that time I had friends who also were playing guitar and writing lyrics. And that's when like it slowly grew like, oh, maybe because I'm a kind of a nerdy guy. Like, I like computers and stuff. And I was that guy in the group. And so I was like, oh, maybe I should record people. And so I started asking around me, like, hey, like if I want to record someone, what do I need? And so
Okay.
some people who were already into this or in my entourage gave me like tips, like, hey, just buy this sound card, buy like install this software, and they just set me up. And that's how I started. Then my bedroom was like a recording studio for years after that.
Wow. And was
Yeah.
that what kind of music? Was it just anything and anybody who would want to record their music, or was it a
So,
targeted genre?
So it was mostly rap music.
Okay.
Some like acoustic stuff too, but mostly rap. So that's also why it was easier to set up a recording studio. It's just you just need a mic, right? And
Yeah, that's that's right.
all the music is done in the computer. And so I started making beats too. So I was doing a little bit of everything, like beats, mixing, recording.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I did that for years, and I explored more like different aspects of it.
Yeah, that's the part I need to understand. So you were doing piano, you stopped playing music, and then we jumped to you recording rap artists. So now
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, when were you introduced to rap music, and was it American rap music or French music that you
Yeah, that's a
first
good
were
question.
introduced to?
So I was introduced to rap music very early because in France, rap is huge.
Okay.
Even when I was a little kid, it was already like picking up. Like we had those
Hmm.
bands like called NPM and I Am and like those very famous bands. And so I started listening to them when I was really young, but I was not like into rap only. So I had like, for example, when I was 12, I was very much into heavy metal,
Okay.
hard. I had like all kinds of phases. When I was 14, I started playing guitar. I was into folk music, like pop music, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I would say I got really like full time into rap around 18.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
Basically, my friends were writing lyrics, starting slowly drifting into rap, and it was also getting more and more popular in France. There were more and more artists.
Yeah.
I was able to download at the time because like internet was like, of course, becoming bigger. When I was young,
Yeah.
it was just like tapes and CDs, and it was like you had to dig to get stuff, right? And
Yeah.
then everything became so available, and so I could listen to a lot of rap, and that's when I really fell in love with this genre. And yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall maybe that one or two American rap artists that you heard and that just kind of blew your mind and just
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
it's true that you asked me like if I was listening to French or American. So mostly French at the beginning.
okay.
Uh, and so the only American artist was I remember like when I started listening a lot to rap, I was listening to Ti,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
he's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, like I also, even though I was not mostly into rap at that time, when 50 Cent like released Get Rich or Die Trying,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
my
that's a
friend had
classic
the
album.
CD, like I listened to it a lot. So it was just like throughout my yeah, I was just listening to a lot of R&B too.
Yeah.
TLC, everything was on the radio in France, and we're
Yeah.
like Destiny Child. I listened to that a lot too. So, but I would say yeah, the first American rap artist, it's a good question. Um, I think it was later actually that I really started to listening to one artist a lot, and it was Kendrick Lamar. When I discovered,
Oh, good.
so
Good
I didn't
choice.
know him like that early. You know, I discovered him with Good Kid, Mad City.
Yep.
Uh, but when I discovered that, I was like, oh, like it's
Yeah.
something. And so I started digging into all these old mixtape,
Yeah.
Section 80, etc. And so I would say that maybe the first artist that I really like went through his whole like history, and yeah.
Yeah. And then how was I mean, how was the French rap hip hop scene? I mean, was it a lot of live music playing or was it just stuff commercially on the radio? How were your forms of exposure to that music?
So when I started recording and my friends were rapping, I was going to a lot of open mics with them. So it was
Nice.
yeah. So there was a big one of my best friends who I started recording called Clément. His artist name is Klimt, and so he's the one who really took me to those open mics and everything. Like he was going to like all kinds of like competitions,
Yeah.
improvisation stuff. And so
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome,
so
man.
that was really it. Yeah, so that's you going out a lot, a lot of live music. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the local scene outside of the United States in different countries. It's crazy. It's like the appreciation for rap and hip hop in other countries is just it's
Yeah.
overwhelming. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was chatting with someone yesterday and letting them know, like in France, like rap music is number one right now, and like
wow.
yeah, I mean that's the most popular genre. It's the thing that rap music nowadays it's so like diverse
Right.
that
Good
it's really
point.
like yeah, so it's really like for everyone can like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, did you try anything else? Did you try breakdancing or graffiti or DJing?
No, no, well DJing a little bit. So I had a friend who had like this was a pioneer like CDJ, and he
Yeah.
was bringing them home, and we were like mixing like some electronic music too. And I really liked doing that, and I had this idea like, oh, I need to get into it, but I just never bought the stuff because you still need like gear for that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not. But I always like was dreaming of like, oh, I would like to try scratching, but I
Yeah.
never.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I'd like to try one day, but no, didn't do it yet.
Yeah, I think me too. At some point, I just gotta, yeah, I'll put the mic down and try to invest in
Yeah.
turntables. But oh no, that's true. And so, and you mentioned too that you were recording your friends, and so I remember when I was rapping and my friends were recording me and they were producers, we would always try to make them rap too. As so did they do that? Did you try it?
Yeah,
Did you,
of course.
yeah.
Of course I did. Yeah. I was never really into it myself. I'm not a fan of like writing and putting myself out there. But for sure, my friends were like, "Hey, you have to write some bars and kick with us." And like, and of course, I did it. I think I lost everything, but I think some of my friends still have like good archives with me rapping.
I know. You need to send them to me.
Yeah,
Oh,
I need to ask and get them. Yeah, it's gonna be
okay.
fun.
Has Shauna heard any of them or no?
No, I'm sure she didn't. She wouldn't have married me.
Hey, I'm always curious too. Is it just the main city of Paris that is really thick in hip hop culture, or what other cities, man? I remember when I was rapping early on in my career. You know, I was part of this underground collective out of I'm gonna butcher the city, but Saint Etienne. And they had an amazing underground hip hop culture, man. And so we ran with that crew for a while. But any other cities that were really big into hip hop?
Yeah, so that's a good point actually, because I think there's a lot of frustration in France where everything is concentrated in Paris. So artists from other cities feel they don't have the same chances to be successful.
Right.
But I think it is changing nowadays. So like we have big cities that are big into rap. So Marseille is the first one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's really, really big. There is an artist called Jewel there that recreated his own like mix of rap and electronic style kind of.
Okay.
And he's like hyper productive, he's super famous. And so he really made rap popular for the whole country and put the spotlight on the city.
Yeah.
And there's Lyon, so just a little north of Marseille. But I would say, yeah, the big cities are probably Paris and Marseille and
Okay.
Lyon. But it's growing, you know. So yeah. So I
Yeah.
think rappers everywhere is just like the big city is still Paris because that's where you have all the labels, all the
That's
studios.
right.
It's very hard to find a good studio in the south of France, for example. There are less of them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. Yeah, it's just really cool. And yeah, I just every time like I remember Paris too when we were visiting. Just I mean, it's all over the place too, right? The show
Oh yeah.
flyers and yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite exciting, man. And
Yeah,
so
you have
huh?
sorry, no, you have places in Paris where people like meet all the time to just rap in the street, you know, and so you can go there and just enjoy it.
That's, oh,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, at some point we got to go back, man. And what about the rap music? So I spoke to a couple people on the show, and it was interesting to me when they were telling me that now in this current day, the type of rap music that's hot in one particular city overseas was gangster rap music. Hey, in France, is there a certain type of rap music that people like right now, or what's hot, or is it just the stuff that we're hearing on the radio?
So I think a lot of different type of raps are hot. Like there's not one that is like just like as big as anything else. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, so we have maybe even new kinds of rap like popping up regularly. So right
Mm.
now there's this underground scene like with like hyper pop mixed to rap.
Yeah.
Even I'm not up to date with everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
but we had a big gangster rap trap music era, and
Okay.
you know it kind of faded away, but now it's picking back up. And even boom bap, you know, boom bap was like
Yeah.
very hot, then it kind of disappeared, but now it's coming back. So everything's coming back. Basically, I think now people realize there is really like interesting things to explore in all the type of raps.
Yeah.
And there's no
Great
more like
point.
one that is dominating. It's like everyone is doing their own thing, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Do you guys consider MC Solar as boom bap, or is
yeah.
he more commercial? I thought he was more
Boom
boom
bap.
bap.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
more boom bap. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he did some good stuff and with a lot
Yes,
of
yeah.
legends in the US. Hey, so let's go back to you. And do you remember what kind of software you were using to record and
Yeah,
make
I
beats?
remember very
And has
well.
that changed? Are you using Pro Tools now? What's
Well,
the
I'm gonna give you my background for all
yeah?
this stuff. So when I started, basically my friend made me install Fruity Loops at the time. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
I know Fruity Loops.
so it
Yeah.
was in 2008, and it was like a cracked version of Fruity Loops, and I just started
You're
learning.
right.
I was just starting learning making beats on that, and but I was not a big fan of Fruity Loops. Like it has
Yeah.
like it's weird, you know, like
Yeah.
it's like there's no tracks. It's just like I don't know. It didn't make so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And then another friend introduced me to Reason. You know Reason, like
Yeah,
popular.
I absolutely do.
And this I loved. I was on Reason for like maybe 4 years nonstop.
Oh,
And so I love the fact that you can like it's a patch bay. Basically, you can drag and drop cables and connect stuff together and make new sounds.
nice.
The only drawback of this software is that at the time, now it changed, but at the time you didn't have proper sampling stuff in there. There was no audio management. So basically,
Okay.
couldn't drag and drop audio on a track and slice it. You couldn't do that at all. It
Got it. Like
was only,
you couldn't edit the sample.
so there was like a trick to do that, but basically it was only MIDI. So you could
Okay.
like, and the thing is that there was like a little machine where you can say like, hey, take this sample and slice it, and then you play MIDI through it. But it was just so painful to really manipulate audio. And so eventually I gave up on that. And I went to Pro Tools at that time because I remember I bought a new sound card that came bundled with Pro Tools 8 at the time. Like, oh, like Pro Tools are the things that the pro use, so I'm going to get into it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got into it, and I never loved it. You know, like I think Pro Tools is like, it's good for certain tasks, but at the time I was making beats a lot, and it's not very good to make beats. So I just eventually gave up on that, and at some point I switched to Ableton Live.
Yeah. Okay.
And I never looked back. I'm still on Ableton Live for mixing, producing, everything. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it's your answer for everything. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know like people are not big fans of live for mixing because it's not designed for it at first.
Yeah.
But I think it does everything very well. And also like it's the DAW for me that has the easiest workflow. Like you can go super fast and do complex automations and stuff like that with a few clicks. Everything is very intuitive. And so that's why I stick to it. There are a few features that I know Pro Tools has that are better for mixing, which I do a lot. But I cannot give up on that ease of like use. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm laughing now because I'm thinking about when obviously me and your wife worked together and we were good friends there. And then when she found out that I rap, and then she was like, "Oh, by the way, my husband makes beats." I said, "What?"
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right. And then it was like, "Okay, all right, let me meet him." Like I just kind of forgot. I was like, "Hey, hurry up! I gotta go meet Dimitri, man." So there was always this buildup, just and anticipation and excitement in meeting you, and so it was great. And she told me that you were formally trained for sound engineering. So can you talk to me about that portion about how you decided to go to school for that?
So actually, little clarification, I'm not trained for sound engineering. I am trained for software engineering applied to music, which is a little different. So basically, I did a electrical engineering school. And so at that time, I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I just knew like, oh, I want to do something with music. So maybe loudspeaker design or like something like that. Like not sound engineering, not really like no one trained my ear, for example. I wasn't trained for that. I was trained at just like making electronic circuits and code, essentially.
I gotcha.
And so at the last year of my School of Engineering, I got an internship in a research center called IRCAM in Paris, which is focusing on acoustic and computer music. And I did my internship there, working on a composition software, like Ableton, you would think, but like a little different, like a little more for contemporary music, which is like based on math and like complex stuff to generate music. So it's a little niche. So I'm not going to go too much in depth into that. But
no, hey, that's fascinating. But all I knew was like, oh man, dude, I was curious to hear what you were, what your skills were like. Remember, and you offered, you were like, hey, man, I'll mix a song for you, and let me show you what I got.
Yeah, so for mixing, like the way I got into mixing. So let me finish on my schools.
Yeah, of course.
So after my internship, I did a PhD in the same research center, and my PhD was on computer music. So it was it was part of the computer science department at the university, but it was applied to music. So I was basically building a DAW that had like special capability to compose and improvise at the same time.
That's crazy.
It was it was fun. So I did that for 3 years because PhDs are 3 years in France. And after that, I traveled for 7 months because I needed a break. And my goal for those 7 months was like become a professional beatmaker. So not mixing engineer. I didn't care about that. I wanted to because I was making beats at the time, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna give it a shot. I want to make money out of it. So I traveled. I took my computer, my MIDI keyboard, my sound card, everything, and I went to South America with my girlfriend at the time, and she was at school, and I was working on my beats all day long. And so that was really what I was doing. Yeah, and I couldn't get people to like use my beats and commercially I
Okay.
couldn't.
And what did you do? How did you try to do that? What were you doing? Emailing people or?
Yeah, I was emailing like labels on SoundCloud because at the time SoundCloud was huge. It was
That's
like
right.
where you could pop up. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to go on SoundCloud. I want to publish stuff. I'm going to contact labels. And I got a few hooks a little bit like, oh yeah, like this is good, but it's lacking a little bit of on this aspect. And so it never worked. I even worked a lot with a friend before traveling in France called César Gassel, and I was making beats and mixing for him. And we even got contacted by a label from Universal Music, and so we got into the. And so I was like, oh, we can make it. We're so close,
Yeah.
But it's like then you realize that it's not because you have a meeting and they give you like $5,000 for a next album, or like they try to hook you up into some contract that you're set. You're not set at all. Like it's still like a long way to go. And so it ended up falling through, and I couldn't like make a living out of my beats while I was traveling. So I was like, okay, well, I finish my trip, I go back to France, and I go back to work. Like I give up on that.
Yeah.
But during my trip, what happened is that I had a friend working for another label from Universal, actually.
Okay.
And he told me like, hey, I have this artist that I work with that needs mixing. And can you do mixing? And I was like, dude, I'm traveling. At the time, I was even traveling during my trip. So I was like with a backpack. I had my computer, but I had just earbuds, And I was like, you need to mix with earbuds. He's like, he was like, can you just try? And I had no sound card. I was plugging my my little jack into my Mac and mixing like that. And he was like, yeah, try please, and I will give you $40 or something like that. So I was like, yeah, let's do it, and so I mixed the song. It went well. They released it. It made 1 million views on YouTube. And then from that day, that's when I really started mixing and making money out of it.
How did you get your name out? So, I mean, you had the credit on it.
Yeah.
And so how did people start finding out about you? Like,
well, I had my contact in the description of the YouTube video, because of course, like when they pay you $40, they're like, of course we're gonna put your name up, like
right. That's the other perk, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I got my name out, and this worked. Like, and since that day, like I had people like contacting me, like, hey, I saw you mix that guy. Can you mix my song? And so it grew like that.
Hey, do you still find time to make beats, or is it mostly mixing now?
Yeah. So no, I don't find time to make beats at all. Like now, because what I didn't say is that even though like mixing picked up, like it's still not a full-time job for me. Like,
right.
I'm a software engineer. I was working for startups, then for BandLab with making a DAW. I made a DAW for them. And now I work for Meta as a software engineer.
Yep.
It's all in audio. So for example, even at Meta, I work on audio stuff for the smart glasses. So I'm always working on audio, but not on music full time. And so of course, like mixing is what I do at night during the weekend. And I have no time for making beats, especially because I feel beats take more time in the sense that you need to sit down to have peace of mind, clarity, to get like creative. My life right now is not good for that. I don't have the space.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. Just trying to juggle everything in life. And so when you're doing when you do your music, when you're mixing, is it early in the morning or it has to be late at night?
It's late at night. Yeah. When the kids are in bed, everyone's in bed, and I just go downstairs, turn on the computer and mix.
Yeah, I wish that was the case for me, because I can't like rap in the middle of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I gotta squeeze some time. It's crazy just trying to find time to do it, like a 30-minute window, right? So I feel you. Hey, how are you enjoying the hip hop rap music today? Still like it, or are you just going back to older stuff that you listen to?
No, I go back a lot to older stuff because I have a lot of nostalgia all around in my life. I'm a nostalgic person, so I love to go back to old music that brings me back there. Like it's just so many memories and stuff. So I listen to a lot of old music, but I also listen to what gets out, on Spotify, etc.
Right.
I feel overwhelmed, like there's just too much sometimes. So I just
no, you're right. Yeah, there's so much music today, and just
But I still like love stuff that gets out like regularly. Like sometimes I'm gonna listen to an album, I'm gonna be like, oh, it's really good, And so it's just like it's a lot. So I'm often lost, and when I'm lost, I just go back to what I know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Were there any critical rap albums that were important in shaping the person you are today? Some of your
Yeah.
all-time favorites?
Yeah. So for mixing, especially, I think what really changed my way of mixing is a Drake. I don't know if it was an album or a mixtape, but it was If You're Reading This, It's Too Late or something like that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and this one really changed the way I approach mixing because I was always impressed how it's a Noah Shabib, the mix engineer of Drake. And I was like, how can he get those kick and snare hit so hard and preserve the clarity of the voice? And it was just mind-blowing to me because I was trying to mix, and every time I was pushing the kick and snare, it was just like drowning everything. So I was like, how does he do that? And so I think it really pushed me to learn, like, how can I reach this sound? How can I be very snappy in the mix and just at the same time balanced and like loud? So yeah, that's one of them. Of course, like as I say, Kendrick Lamar too. I think Ali, mixed by Ali, is really really good. Beautiful album, beautiful mixtapes. So yeah, I think those two are the main one that really pushed me. Oh, and one last, Young Thug, Barter Six. Completely different approach where the instruments are like kind of like low, like a very soundscape, and it's about the drum, the bass, and the vocal, and that really changed the way I approached it.
Yeah, and so that's I'm glad we're talking about this because these guys are the unsung heroes of the song, right? Like if you're not a guy doing it, I don't know if there's something that would, you know, influence you to go look up the name of the person who did it. So it's obviously you, right? If you hear something, you want to know who did it, right? And look
Yes.
and see their work. And
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool to hear that. So yeah, wow, man. And so what about projects wise? What are you up to these days?
Music,
Yeah.
So I'm always mixing projects for people. So I just got out of a mix for a woman in France called Tiff. I just mixed her project, and I have many people sending me projects regularly. So whether it's like a little 4-track EP or like a longer album. I also collaborate with other mix engineers. So right now I'm mixing albums for this guy who made 1 million views and made me known in the scene. He's still like mixing with me, but he's also mixing with other engineers, and
Fantastic.
we collaborate for an album. We share the track between 2 engineers, and we just work together on that. So yeah, working a lot on project with French artists.
Yeah, and how does that work? So when you're doing mixing duties with a friend or another producer, is it like, hey, I got the drums, you got the instruments, or how do you split the work up?
No, we split by tracks. So like basically like the artist has 12 tracks to mix, and it goes 6 and 6, for example. Yeah. And then we just coordinate a little bit at the end to harmonize everything so it doesn't sound so different.
That's right. So that's all I was wondering because every rapper's got a style, every producer's got a style, a mixer's got a style, right?
Yeah. So the thing is that ideally you would mix an album with one engineer. I think there's no way around it. That's the only way you're going to get a consistent sound throughout your project.
That's right.
And you say there's a reality of life. It's like,
that's right. Good.
Yeah, we are all busy. The artist wants to release the thing in 2 months.
That's right.
I don't have time to do 12 songs, so let's share 6 and 6. And what we do usually is we do a little mastering, so to speak, pass at the end where we try to bring the levels together roughly. Yeah. But of course, it's not going to be as clean and homogeneous as if you had one mix engineer.
No, fair enough. But you're right. That's a great point because of just living life, man. That's the way it goes. But you make it happen, man. It's great.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you realize it's important to put all you can in your mixing stuff, and as an artist to be like, oh, I want to mix my album perfectly, etc. But at the end of the day, it's music, and people are going to feel it regardless of the process.
That's right.
Regardless if track 1 is a little louder than track 2, it's okay, So if it's good music, it's good music. So it doesn't make a big difference, I think, for most people.
Okay, except for when the person's listening. Tell me, have you dealt with just an artist that was just so picky in terms of the drums are too loud and
I've had a few, yeah. And also, I'm usually very I'm okay with that. So I try to respect the artist's view. And so if you want to do like 10 back and forth, like for little details, like I'm gonna do it, but I'm also gonna let you know that it's probably not the best choice, because usually what I realize doing that is that everyone is losing patience. And so you end up doing bad choices, for your music. And the mix number 10 is not as good as number one, uh, just because you keep tweaking it, and you lose track of the big picture. Like how is the whole track feeling when you listen to it.
All
And
right.
when you focus on details, yes, your bass is going to be perfect, but you impacted something else, and it doesn't feel as good.
Oh, that's funny to hear. How am I? Am I a diva when it comes to your mixing?
No, you're easy to work with. Yeah. No. So honestly, it's been easy to work with you. Like
I'm just kidding.
yeah, no, honestly, like yeah, it's been like not a lot of back and forth, and also like very targeted. Like something's wrong, like you tell me I change this and that, and we call it a day, and we move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't complaining to Shauna.
No. No, but I've had people where one mix would take 2 months, and see,
Yeah,
and
so that's how I was
yeah.
curious.
Yeah, no, it's
Longest.
bad. It's bad for everyone. Like I don't think it's a good thing. Like if your mix take 2 months, I think there's a problem either with your production, your arrangements, or my mixing that doesn't fit you. That's okay. Sometimes I
Yeah,
have a style, you don't like my style. Let's stop. Like say, okay, I need someone else. That's fine. When you're fighting through something, usually it's not a good sign.
yeah, or maybe just the artist himself and what he does. So yeah, absolutely, man. That's a great point.
Yeah.
So good. I just thought I'd ask you. Just
Yeah.
I know
No, you're good. You're good.
I know that's a struggle. I have a buddy I'm working with now, and then we're never 100% aligned on certain things,
Yeah.
and it's all love. We're like and then we just negotiate. Let me do this, and I'll let you do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, let's do it.
And no one is going to know the difference at the end. It's only you guys.
Oh, right, right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, good, hey man, I love it. Thank you for talking to me just about the history of Owdee, what you've been doing, how you got to where you're at, how you're still killing it in the game, and still finding time to do it. So I applaud you for living the family life. You're working, you got kids, you got
Thanks.
to
Yeah.
have fun too, man. But you still manage to do
Yeah.
music, so
That's what I
you're
love.
amazing.
I cannot give up on that. I love that. And I'm also very easygoing with people. Like sometimes artists cannot pay right away, things like that. But I do it for the culture too. Like it's something I love. So I'm always like very I try to make everyone happy and to have artists being able to release quality music, because mixing is important. Uh,
Yes,
yeah, you especially nowadays, like everyone like find a way to get good mixes, so you cannot release your music just recording and throw it out there. You have to polish it a little bit.
hundred
And so I,
percent.
I take a lot of joy like helping people do that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're amazing, man, and I know you've done it too. And again, I always talk about when I was working with your wife, but we also had Corn too, and I didn't know he
Yeah.
made music too. That was crazy,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and so it was great. Just we had that little network, and you offered to do mixing for them, and it sounded amazing. I
Yeah,
just
thanks,
I really
thanks.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, actually, I just got he was rapping with two other friends, Simply Ant and Gemini Lay.
Yep.
Uh, and Gemini just called me like a month ago and sent me a mix, and I just mixed for him. Yeah.
Ah,
So
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, hey man, so okay, that's another point now. So now, like I said, man, you're juggling all these responsibilities, but yo, I want to know more about you. What do you do for fun?
Mixing. That's what I do. No,
Yeah,
honestly, like I have no free time aside from. I mean, of course, I take care of my kids, my wife, my family.
yeah.
That's what I do during the weekends, at night. But I have no spare time for anything else. Like
Oh wow.
because like I told you, like I work, I come back home, I take care of the family, then mixing at night, then trying to get some sleep, rinse and repeat. I don't have much time for anything else. Yeah.
Hey, but you make time for the important things, so that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, but honestly, like mixing is my number one hobby. What I would love to do is get into making beats again.
Yeah,
One thing I would love to explore is like modular synthesizers. I don't know if you know about that.
yeah,
So,
I do.
but the thing is that I really want to buy the gear, but I know I'm not going to have time to use it, so I'm
Oh,
holding off.
yeah.
Yeah,
Does
but
it
I
take?
will. I will.
I know you'll get there, man. Especially as the kids get older, right? And then they can
Yeah,
take care of
exactly.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at too now. My daughter's a little older, so I can squeeze some time in, right? So
Are you making beats sometimes, or you just rap?
no, just rhyming. I don't have the patience. I know what I
Have
like
you
beat
tried?
wise, yeah, but it's just rapping right now. And
But you
so
try making beats.
I yeah, I did a long time ago. And it's funny you mentioned Fruity Loops because that was the first thing that I tried.
Mhm.
And then I just that one the platform I just didn't really understand it too much. What I
Yeah.
did enjoy using was Acid Pro. I don't know if
Oh
you're
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that one was easy because I could just drag and then I would cut
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
sample on Cool Edit Pro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with the limited time I just chose to veer off to rapping.
Got it.
So.
And how is it for you nowadays? Do you have a like because you say like you have to rap like 30 minutes before going to work? That's your time when you can do it?
Yeah, it's usually on the weekend. So, and then now I'm busy because I'm doing the podcast too, right? And
Yeah.
I just been really enjoying that, and just
Nice.
just listening to other people's stories and sharing it. But yeah, now it's yeah, I'll find an hour here, an hour there, and just do
Yeah.
it, and just dedicate that 1 hour to doing it.
Yeah.
But obviously, I prioritize my work and family, so I got to get to that, and then find when I can squeeze.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I can't do it at night because everybody gets home.
Yeah, right. You need a little, if you have a yard, you need to build a little shed or something that you can.
Yeah, one day, man, I'm dreaming. Hawaii, man, our place is so small,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
not, yeah, it's not helpful for that. So yeah, one of these days, I hope so, man.
yeah.
Well, good, man. Well, hey, I had fun just digging into your history. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really, hey, where's the best place to find your work? How can they search your stuff?
So honestly, now I'm mixing, like people credit me, but you cannot find me on Spotify. I have no page, no playlist. So the
Yeah,
best thing you can do is just follow me on Instagram.
that's it.
It's at mixed by Owdee. And if you just join, you're gonna see I have no posts, but I post story all the time. Every time I mix something, I put it in a story. And so then you can see the artists and follow them. But yeah, I don't have like a page or website for myself. That's something I wanted to do. I never got into it.
I hope
Uh,
so. I hope you
yeah,
do.
yeah, I will when I have more time. But I felt like it's just working the way it is right now for me. I get clients, I have fun. I have even more of clients that I can handle. So I'm good for now. Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Well, hey, man, this is the fun portion of the interview. I like to close out with just some fun, lighthearted questions. So
Okay.
let's do it. All right. Hey, brother, who is someone famous people say you look like?
Oh, I've been told I don't know his name, but maybe you're gonna know the show. You know the show Suits, like the lawyer stuff?
Oh, I haven't seen it for a while. Okay.
Yeah, I've been told I look like this guy.
Do you agree?
Yeah, to some extent. I think like just like basic white guy, Sure.
Okay. All right. Hey, how long can you go without the internet?
Oh, that's tough. No, one day maybe. No, I need the internet. Yeah.
Okay, all right, all right. All right, hey, you spent some time in Hawaii, lived here for a couple years. Favorite beach on Oahu of all time?
Favorite beach on Oahu? Well, I don't know the name, but maybe you can help me. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
when you go from Kailua to North Shore, there is this beach somewhere like in the trees. I could find the name if I looked online.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm really on
let
that
me let
side.
me look real quick if you have 1 second.
Yeah, of course,
Uh,
man. Tell them.
I'm gonna just go on the map and scroll. I'm gonna find it. It's Kahana Bay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Kahana Bay Beach Park. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the most beautiful on Oahu.
Oh, okay. I thought it was gonna be Kailua, but that's good to know. All the
Yeah,
way to
like
North Shore.
Kailua, yeah, I like it, Kailua, but I don't think it has the charm of Kahana Bay. Yeah.
No, no, you're right. You're right. I know a lot of people love the other one right next to it. I can't remember the name escapes me right now, but it's Kailua. And what's the next one that's over to it
Oh,
behind sand?
Kailua and Lanikai.
Okay, that's right. That's another
Yeah,
famous one.
Lanikai is really nice. Lanikai is good because you have the mokes. I swam to the mokes once.
You swam.
Yeah. We had like friends that are like very good at swimming. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna swim to the mokes. You wanna come?" I was like, I don't know, I'm not a very good swimmer, but let's try. And I did it. It was hard.
That's far.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like 0.8 miles, something like that.
far
But,
enough.
but that was fun. And you go there and there's a monk seal on the beach, and that was amazing. Yeah.
Oh man, and then you had to swim back though.
Yes.
Hey, that's awesome that you did that. Okay, this is a good one right here. What is the weirdest thing Americans do?
They, it's just so many things. They put ice cream in soda. They fry everything. Like I don't know. It's a lot about food. It's a lot about food.
Oh, that's good. All right. And we talked about your projects, and I would say the last question for you would be if you could have dinner with anybody, past or present, dead or alive, right now, who would that be and why?
Good question. It's a tough one. I think I would have dinner to stay on the theme. I would have dinner with a sound engineer that can teach me everything, because as I told you, like I had to learn sound engineering myself. I was not going to school for that. So I would like to have dinner with maybe mixed by Ali, like Kendrick Lamar sound engineer, just to ask all the questions I have.
I love it, man. That's great. Well, good. Well, hey, thanks again. I appreciate it. I look forward to sharing this interview. You're a phenomenal friend outside of music. And so it's just been an honor to know you. And just again, once I found out you did music, I had to meet you. And it was great. And I'm glad that we've done some work. You've done some amazing work for me and just everybody
Yeah, it's
in
always great.
general, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
for
I hope you do get a chance to post all your work because it's great work and it should be all.
I will. And now you say that, it's motivating me to do that, to collect everything and do.
Yeah, because it'll live on. Yeah, it'll live on past our time, and they should know who did that work, man. It's amazing. With
Thank you.
that, thank you again for your time on the weekend. Are there any final words that you want to say before we close the session?
No, just thank you and what you do for the culture, for the community. I always appreciate watching your podcast, listening to your music. As a way you connect people together, it's really precious, and so thank you for that.
Yeah. Hey, and I look forward to telling the world about you. Not that you need my help, but hey, man, awesome. Well, good, brother. I can't wait to share this. Take care. You guys enjoy and have a good weekend.
Thank you so much. You too.